In the opening scene, Em was discussing with her husband about his trip, and suddenly her husband Kevin's voice cracks. And when Em looks at her phone, her screen gets cracked on its own. They have a reunion at Mike's house there. She tells everyone about that this strange incident happened to her, and mentions that the Miller's comet could be the reason for the screen cracking. When everyone arrives at the party and they were having dinner, Hugh asks if anyone has network connection on their phone, but no one had. Then everyone thinks that the cell phone towers may be down. Em talks about incidents happened last time when Miller's comet hit, a lady who killed her husband, but suddenly she gets back in time and her husband is alive in front of her. She even calls the police saying she killed her husband, but no one believes her as her husband was alive, and then someone jokes about her being lucky that she could kill her husband again. Lee introduces everyone to her sister. With her, she had some unresolved issues. Mike asks Lori what she does these days and makes fun of her Spanish yoga, calling it spoga. Lori, who is ex-girlfriend of Kevin, now asks Mike what he does for a living. He answers, he acts. He is an actor who has worked in the TV show Roswell as a lead actor. Lori now turned to Em, asking about her career. She reveals that she was creating a dance show, and right before the premiere, producers brought in Svetlana Asarano, as she is the best in the world. And then Em was offered an understudy. Soon Hugh's phone's screen gets shattered similarly as Em's does. No services works for anyone. Hugh wanted to contact his brother Brian, who hangs out with physicists, and had told Hugh to contact him as soon as something strange happens, and boom, the lights goes off. Lighting some candles, everyone goes out and sees the whole neighborhood was out of power, except one house. Everyone thinks it was because of the generator. Hugh thinks of visiting that house because his brother had told him if anything strange should happen, Hugh must contact him. Hugh takes Amir with him, and Beth gives them 10 minutes to return from that house. Em now explains about another event called Tunguska event. It was a comet above Siberia's atmosphere, as it didn't the atmosphere but the force flattened all the trees in Siberia and killed one or two. Suddenly someone bangs the side door and everyone gets scared, but when Kevin checks there was no one over there. Mike turns the generator on and the place lights up again. Hugh returns back but was hit on his head and was bleeding. Amir brings a box from the other house without knowing whom it belonged to. Mike opened the box and finds everyone's photos marked with a number. Hugh reveals he saw a dinner table set for 8 people. He saw everyone in the other house as well. Hugh insists to go back to that house and leave a note. They see a big guy. Kevin opens the door. There was the same note stuck on the door which Hugh had just written. Everyone is in shock. No one could understand what was going on. Amir's photo was just taken that night and still was in the box. Em recognizes that it's her handwriting on the back of the photo and also confesses that she was hurt because Kevin brought up a story that he shared with Lori. 4 of them leave to find out what was happening. As they come close to the other house, Mike starts peeping in it. He recognizes Lee sitting in there, recognizes Lee sitting down, and suddenly they see themselves facing each other, red glow sticks in hand. All of them run back to the house. Now they had realized that they were going through the same reality but with different bodies. Em wanted to know more about comets. She asks if Mike had any book related to it. Beth interrupts her, saying she remembers that Brian had left his book in her house and it was kept in Hugh's car. Kevin and Hugh goes out to bring the book. Lee continues to rest even in these situations. They bring the book. Hugh reads the title, Gravitation, an Introduction to Current Research. They think it is of no use until Hugh reads out Brian's notes talking about Schrodinger's cat, which is a thought experiment. A cat in a box that has 50-50 chance of living because there is also a vial poison in the box. Regular physics says that the cat lives or dies. But quantum physics says that both realities exist simultaneously, and only if you open the box, it collapses into a single event. Mike explains that they are in the box. They are the cat. They are both alive and dead, as there are separate realities until the comet passes or the decoherence keeps them separate. But they were the one to start and try to meet their own version. This also concludes that the box wasn't meant for them. Mike freaks out and says that he will kill everyone in the other reality. Now they discover that in that reality, Beth was napping so the others don't have the book. They realize if they take the book, they can avoid all of those from happening. Hugh refuses to give his keys, but Mike has other plans. Kevin warns him. but he doesn't listen to him. Beth is the one always with some of the medications of her type. Em inquires if she was the one who emptied the vial of medicine in the food, as an overdose could cause hallucinations, but she denies the allegations. Hugh and Amir come to the living room and they had the red glow sticks in their hands because they were from the other house. They just collected the photos and the book and left the house immediately as soon as they got a chance. Mike returns after keeping that note from other house, and everyone returns to the living room and realizes Hugh and Amir left with all things they had. Em finds for the clue, whereas Lori tries to seduce Kevin and even kisses her. Beth has seen it, and she tips Em about what is happening between Kevin and Lori. Em tries to talk about this with Kevin, but he doesn't respond well, and the lights crash again. They light up candles, and they hear a car gets smashed, and everyone checks their own cars. Em finds her ring in it as soon as she gets out of the car. Kevin talks to him very politely and sweetly, but she notices something off. It was a different Kevin. It was Hugh's car that got smashed. Hugh and Amir returns. They try to make them believe that they are real Hugh and Amir. They prove it right. As of theory, quantum decoherence ensures that the different outcomes have no interaction with one another. They try and figure out how to mark their house as unique. They roll dice and must remember their number before entering the house. Mike gets the same box, and each one's numbers are written on the back of their photo, and an oven rattle in the box so that each one of them can recognize if they were in the right house. Em notices Hugh doing something on his phone, but Hugh's phone was broken. How did it fix on its own? Em asks each one of them if they could remember what number was written on the back of their photos the first time they brought in the white box, but only Beth and Lee knew their numbers properly because they never left the house. Em discusses it with Mike and explains that whoever walks through the dark area wouldn't return where they started, and if they don't find a way to get back to their original houses before the comet hits, they would be stuck in here forever. A knock on the door and there was a letter written, "Mike, my friend Beth, plus book equals Trinidad Club." Mike and Beth slept together 12 years ago, and this was the letter that Mike left on the other house door when Hugh finds out that Mike slept with Beth. Hugh freaks because everyone knew this happened except Hugh. To cover this incident, Mike says that Beth wasn't even her wife because Hug's phone was not cracked. Hugh freaks out more than what it has to do with the phone. Mike explains to him that he doesn't belong in this house. So does Mike, because the random item in the white box for Hugh was a stapler, and for Mike it was a handkerchief. Mike tries to explain to Hugh that he is in a different reality. Hugh loses his cool and punches Mike very hard. Mike talks to Em that he is like the dead cat from the theory this whole night. They have been worrying if there's some dark versions of themselves out there, but the bitter reality is they themselves are the dark versions. Suddenly someone opens the door and it's Mike fighting with Mike. He attacks Mike so hard that he dies. Em calls for help, but by the time Mike stops breathing, Lori couldn't stand blood. She freaks out and starts removing her cloths, and Kevin grabs her and asks to stop, but Em didn't like it. She again gets upset with Kevin and decides to leave the house. As soon as she leaves and starts walking down the street, it's pitch black out there. But Em peeps in other houses where she could find a better version of Kevin that loves her boundlessly. She looks at the comet passing nearby and then finds Kevin. She smashes Hugh's car to distract everyone. And as soon as the other Em goes to check her car, she tries to kill her because she wanted her place. She succeeds, but the other Em again tries to enter the house, but this time she kills her and locks her up in the bathroom. And then Em passes out and wakes up with her other reality, but Kevin finds it out that she